Hello, everybody. Today we are joined by Dorian Iten, a person that you have seen across the Proko channel many, many times. In a social post today, I called him the shading teacher, and I think that is true. I can't think of anyone else more equipped and more focused on this subject to teach it. So today we're going to be talking about a thing that you termed 10 timeless shading principles, right?
Yes, we are. Thank you, Stephen. Welcome, everyone.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's good to be here with you. I think today's the structure for today's is going to be a little bit more like a lecture, though I do ask that anyone who's here live, please give us some questions in the chat. I'll go through those, grab some of them up so that we can talk about those at the end during some sort of like a Q&A session that'll be more focused on purely answering questions once we've crammed those 10 timeless shading tips into you guys already. So
Yes, I want questions. I want this video, it's going to live on YouTube. So I want it to be also timeless in a sense of valuable in the future. So your questions will help make it so.
Here.
You have
So,
questions, put them in the chat, and Stephen will gather them or write them down for yourself. And then when there's space for Q&A, you can ask them again.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, Dorian has courses that aren't him just giving you free wisdom here on YouTube. We'll talk more about that a little bit as we go along, but just know you can save on Dorian's courses on Proko right now. I'm going to hand this over to you so we can dig into it.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you. So what I will attempt to do is take the 10-week course, that's the shading course, and distill it down into about an hour or so. There are 10 modules in the course, and each module, I went through all the materials and I pulled out the most precious pearls, one per module, and I'll give you that with as much clarity as I can muster.
Oh. I'm getting the screen ready here to share when the time comes.
Okay, I have a similar slide to that as well. So I'll give one principle per module, and I'll give also one thing you can practice to put that principle into action and actually work with it and make it your own and use it in your work. I'll share kind of everything I know, and especially the most important things, the most useful things that I know about drawing and drawing the what happens with light and shadow specifically, which has been my love, my passion, my specialty over the last, I don't know, about six to 10 years. I actually went through the Proko channel to see what I had done in the past. This is the sixth time we do a live stream. There's also cast drawing, which I did from Cairo, which is was a bit unnerving. It was like before going to the desert and disappearing. I did a drawing of Marshall Vandruff once upon a time, 2 years ago.
Turned out great.
Yeah, that was good. I did mental well-being for artists, which is important, I think. And I hope some of you have seen that and gotten some useful things from there. Another one about cast drawing, more theory, I think, and this was more practice. And then I did something crazy, which was outside of my comfort zone, where I painted a gigantic self-portrait, not knowing where it would go, and just improvising with all of you, which was also a lot of fun. So just briefly, the shading course is that 10-week course that's on sale on Proko right now. And there's demonstrations in there. There's lessons that I put 2 years of work into to produce the course until I launched it. And it wasn't, anyway, other story. But there's a lot of information there that I also distilled down to make it as easy to absorb and as pleasant to learn with as possible. There's 3 assignments in every module. And with what I talk about today, you can go off and succeed and thrive on your own. If you want to go deeper, then check out the shading course.
Well said.
Anything else?
No.
Stephen, from your side?
No, that was perfect. I think you nailed it. This live stream won't teach you everything, but if you find yourself liking the concepts and wanting to dig deeper, check out a course.
Yes. Also, if I'm going too fast, just put in the chat, slow down, and Stephen will alert me. I'm not seeing the chat, but Stephen will
Mhm.
pay attention to it. So, pearl number 1, separate light from shadow. This is kind of the foundation. A lot of things come back to this. If you get this, you have a really important thing in place. If you look at the moon, there's one light source, which is the sun in our star system, and there's a light side of the moon and the shadow side of the moon. And at some point, the light stops, and that edge is called the terminator. And you can find that edge also on anything you draw, if the lighting is sufficiently simple, let's say. This is an ideal light situation, and then it gets more and more subtle and maybe confusing if you have multiple light sources going on, but every light source creates a terminator. Some people call this a shadow line or the bedbug line, because bedbugs supposedly walk along that line. But yes, the terminator
I've not heard that one.
It's a word from astronomy, not from, I don't know if you think of Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's fine also.
Yeah.
So this is a drawing, and you see the terminator indicated in red there. What this does conceptually, in terms of light and shadow, is you're separating the light family from the shadow family. The light family consists of what I call form light. That's the part of the object that's receiving direct light and is therefore illuminated. And then there's form shadow, which is the part of the object that's not receiving light and that's falling into shadow. But then there's also the cast shadow on the floor, and that there's a relationship between the terminator and the cast shadow, in that the light coming down from the light source is projecting the terminator shape onto the floor. So those two are actually the same thing. Form light, form shadow, terminator dividing them, and then the cast shadow. Practice for this first principle is terminator studies. This is something I recommend doing, and doing quite a lot of. You take any subject and you focus your drawing on the separation of light family from shadow family. So here I drew this garlic, and I tried to find that terminator and tone in all of the shadow family with the shadow value, get the cast shadow in there too, and all of the form light stays pretty light. There's some common shading mistakes, which I'll come to. That's another principle I'll share. Here's some student work. You see, finding the terminator, keeping form light white, just the paper value, and then toning in all of the shadow. It can be quite sketchy. The main focus is finding where the terminator is, and that's not always so straightforward. You can also go a step further and indicate in color what is the terminator and what is the cast shadow edge. So here, cast shadow is in blue and terminator is in pink. Although I don't agree with all of these choices here, some of these are just the contour of the object, not the actual terminator, but it's a good start. And this type of drawing will help you develop that eye for making that distinction. Which I should also say, developing your eye, for me, has been the biggest gift of my training, my education as an artist, to see more of the stuff that's all around us. I think I probably say this every time we do one of these live streams, but it made my life so much richer. I'm sitting on the bus and I'm looking at how the light plays on the jacket of the person who's sitting in front of me. I'm just delighted. Sometimes I sketch it, sometimes I just look. There's so much to see.
I think that there are a lot of like edge cases that you come into in life as well. Like something that's it's like, let's say, a dimly glowing like white lamp that is still in otherwise directional light. Like trying to observe that and how that how that impacts the shadows that are then being cast on it. You don't get that when you go to just set yourself up in a studio with ideal situations. So
yes, and the rabbit hole is very deep. You can just go more and more and more subtle and like special, and just be in awe and curiosity about being in this life. So modeling factors. This is kind of a whole bunch of things packed into one principle. So there's 12 modeling factors. We talked about form light, This is a modeling factor. Form shadow is a modeling factor. Terminator and cast shadow. These are all things you can use to create realism in your drawings. These are things light does in the world. But there's more. And one that's also there is called reflected light. Some people call it bounce light. That's the light that, in this case, falls on the table, on the floor here, and bounces back into the sphere. You can see it's getting lighter here. And by that happening, reflected light brightening part of the form shadow, you're getting another part of the form shadow that stays darker. That has a name as well, and it's called core shadow. A lot of people confuse the terminator with the core shadow. They're close together, but the terminator is the country border between the country of light and the country of shadow, and the core shadow is the darker part of the form shadow that's not affected or less affected by the reflected light coming from below. Then we have the halftones. Those are the changing of tonal value inside of the form light. We have the highlight or specular reflection. And the highlight is almost always the reflection of the actual light source in the scene. That could be the sun, or it can be an artificial light, and it will be the lightest value in your drawing. So if you're painting in oil, you get your pure white and make it impasto. If you're working in digital media, that's one of the few places where pure white can actually work really well to show how bright, because you're painting a light source, but it's the light source reflecting in your subject. Then there's also the center light, which is the part of the form light that's facing the light source most directly. So these are the lightest halftones. That's really useful to identify where that is, because from there you'll have a gradation from light to dark. The lightest halftones in the center light, and then the darkest ones right next to the terminator. Then we have three more. There's ambient light, which is the light that's happening in the whole scene, the whole setup, the whole environment. If you're outside, that could be the light that's scattered by the atmosphere in the sky. So we have kind of bluish light scattered everywhere. If you're indoors, it could be light coming in from a window, or just light bouncing around the room, bouncing off the walls, the ceiling, the floor. And the effect of ambient light is that it lightens all of the shadows. If there was no ambient light, all the shadows would be black, just like on the moon, because there's nothing to reflect light back into it. The sibling effect of ambient light is ambient occlusion. And if you look here, I made this call out in green. And when that green is here, you see how dark the sphere actually gets as it approaches the floor. That darkness here is the ambient occlusion on the sphere. If I hide that call out again, you can't really see it. Like ambient occlusion, if it's there, it kind of becomes invisible because we're so used to seeing it. But if you forget it, the drawing will look much flatter, and objects don't really sit grounded on the floor. They don't feel like they're touching properly. If you have multiple objects together, or like an arm next to a body, there'll be ambient occlusion in there between the body and the arm.
I will say this is a step back because some of the people will be on a delay from where we're at currently. Sure. Someone had asked, this is Willie O'Art, asked, is it possible for him to go a little more in depth on the difference between the terminator and the core shadow?
Yes. I want to be mindful not to get too into one specific topic, because I'm giving a distillation of the 10 weeks, the 10 modules.
Sure.
And maybe I've covered this in I did explain a little bit. Mm-hmm. Core shadow and terminator, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the terminator you can think of as a country border. It has no tonal value, like there's not a light terminator or a dark terminator. It's literally where the light terminates, where light hits the subject, light hits the subject, light hits the subject, and then at the terminator, light no longer hits the subject. It shoots past. Oops. So if we have the moon, and then we have sunlight hits the surface, so it illuminates it. Sunlight hits the surface, and at some point, the sunlight is just going past. And that will be where the terminator is.
And that's just that one line. But then when you go for the core shadow, that's actually a portion, like a whole area, rather than just that finite line that will
Yes.
actually have some shadow to it. It has a value.
Yes. So the terminator, this is convenient. I wasn't planning for this, but this is great. So right here, need a new layer. This is the terminator edge. Light is hitting this surface, but then it's shooting past this point. So all of this is in shadow. Terminator is also here, and then here coincides kind of with the edge of the nose, and then it comes around again, terminator. Core shadow we see on the chin here. Remember that core shadow and reflected light are always together. Reflected light creates the core shadow. So here we have some light on the neck and probably some light from the base that's reflecting back up and lightening this part of the chin. And then we have a darker part, let me use a different color, in here that's stretching across. And it's not darker because the core shadow is darkening things. It's just form shadow with the absence of reflected light.
Mm-hmm. I think,
And
well said.
there's a terminator, but the terminator is right here at the edge. It's the country border. And the core shadow is inside of the form shadow.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. I hope that helps. And then we can keep going forward.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the explanation for him.
Sorry?
I appreciate the explanation you gave him.
I appreciate the question. I'm sure for all of you watching, listening, if you have a question, the chances are very high that you're not the only person with that question, especially if you project forward to the next 10 years of YouTube. So ask your question, because it will be useful to someone right now or in the future. And Stephen, I hope you're not getting overran with too many questions.
No. It's great so far.
All right, the last modeling factor is the penumbra. That's the soft edge on the outside of the cast shadow. And you can see that it changes softness. Here it's sharper because we are closer. Remember, the terminator is projecting the cast shadow. So the further light has to travel, the softer the penumbra gets. We're traveling very far here, so this is all really soft. Less far, less soft, less far, even sharper. And that's all of them. Like my favorite modeling factor, I think, is ambient occlusion because it's just so underappreciated.
Yeah.
Marco Bucci did a great video about it as well. And there's a whole lesson in the shading course about it. But just to show the power of ambient occlusion, this is a bark drawing, bark plate. You see it as it is. And then I snuck some ambient occlusion into it. And you see how much more volume there is. How much more 3D this hand looks with the occlusion. Practice for this principle is to do modeling factor hunting. And I have some worksheets in the shading course, but you can make your own as well. Basically, the task I give is to label each modeling factor on the same image. So bottom left, you see the render of Suzanne, the blender head. And then you're doing an indication of where is the ambient occlusion, where is the penumbra, where's the highlight, and so forth. This is an option to print the worksheet, but you can also do it digitally and hunt down all the modeling factors and see if you can find all the instances of it. All right, number 3, developing value control. This is a point of satisfaction, and I'm a bit embarrassed, but I want to say pride also, because I freaking worked for this. And you will work for this too. If you want to develop that skill, you have to work for it. It's like music, where you need to learn to, use your instrument, or dance if you want to control your body with a specific, and with all the subtlety of expression you have available. But you only have available what you can access. And what you can access today, I guarantee, is not the limit of what you can access with practice.
Would you say that this is this a function of the knowledge, the concept that you build up, or does this also play into your physical ability to be able to execute what you see in your mind?
I want to emphasize the latter. I want to emphasize the physical skill. Concepts, understanding is part of it, but really, you can read all the books you want and then sit down and draw for the first time. It's going to be not great. But if you keep drawing and specifically practicing your technique, which for me I frame as sensitivity and control. The sensitivity to see, perceive with your eyes more subtly what is there, just like a musician learns to hear with more subtlety, and then control, to control your medium, whether that's oil or charcoal or graphite or anything, to state what you want to express with that control and subtlety and nuance. I'll walk you through the step-by-step process of one of my student works. This is a cast drawing, a charcoal drawing, and it started with a cartoon. So this is pencil on a sheet of cheap paper, because this will be thrown away. The point of this drawing, or of this stage, the cartoon stage, is to find the proportions. And there's going to be some erasing and redrawing involved, and that will damage the paper. So we're doing a cartoon drawing as a preparatory drawing to find all the proportions. Still on the cartoon, I shaded in all the shadows. This is an example of dividing light family and shadow family. Some people also call this the Notan stage.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put in the background as a third tone, even darker, to represent what's happening on the reference. And that's a sculpture, plaster cast, standing next to me, and my drawing is on the left at the same size. This is the finished cartoon, and then it gets transferred over. So tracing paper is on top. I'm drawing all of the lines again in red pen, because red will show me where I haven't been yet when I transfer it, because I'll put charcoal on the back, put a new piece of paper, which you can see here, back underneath the tracing paper, put charcoal on the back of the tracing paper, flip the tracing paper over, then transfer. I'm sorry, I think this was abstract, but I explained the steps. Flip this over, la la.
Sure.
You can look at one of the live streams dedicated to cast drawing.
Yeah.
I'll show this step by step. Point is, we have now a fresh, virgin sheet of paper with all the lines drawn there, all the proportions correct. This takes maybe 2 weeks to get to this point. And then I tone in the darkest dark, in this case with compressed charcoal, to go as dark as possible. And then the form shadow area gets toned in with a soft charcoal, and then I grind it in with a paper stump and with a short-haired brush. The mechanical pressure of the tool makes it so that the charcoal sticks to the paper, and then I can work with it with that subtlety that we're talking about. And then this is the initial stage where we have the big value groups, which I'll also speak about more a little bit later. Value grouping is a key principle. At this point, I'm switching from having my 2D hat of just being concerned with flat shapes, proportions. I'm taking the 2D hat off and I'm putting the 3D hat on. Now I'm moving into shading, creating volume, space, depth. And I do that with a stage that's called big form modeling. I'm drawing I think Stan calls this, Proko calls this the primary forms.
Mm-hmm.
The secondary forms sit within the primary forms, and then tertiary forms are even smaller details. So you have big medium, and small. These are my big forms. And it's hard to not draw the small forms. But I made an effort not to draw any details in the hair. There's more wrinkles happening in the forehead. I ignored all of that. There's no details in the nose and in the beard. I just want the egg shape of the head to turn. Once that's happening, Stephen?
I was going to say, I think you're actually going to address that when you said once that's happening. Continue.
Yes.
Sorry.
We go from big form modeling to medium form modeling, or from big forms to medium forms, or from primary forms to secondary forms. And now you can see some stuff is happening in the hair, the forehead. This is a great example here, actually. The upper part of the forehead has a curvature. It's a little bit like a section of an egg that has some turning to it. And in the previous stage, that was all just blank. So medium forms, and then we go on to small forms or tertiary forms. And then refining and polishing and fiddling, and this is the final drawing. After, I think, 3 months here, drawing 3 hours a day, which I loved. Some people would go crazy. I was in heaven. I also had an excellent teacher who every day would just come by and tell me, like, oh, this is okay. Yeah. Did you notice over here, so-and-so, such and such thing? And I was like, no, I totally missed that. But now that you pointed it out, I can see it.
And so for people who might not know, because they haven't spent as much time doing anything that's more time-intensive render, what is the strength of working big to small in that matter?
Great question. If you don't do this, there's a good chance that you will be chasing your tail, like going in circles, because you make a decision in some part of your drawing. Like, let's say we're here. Oh, did I close my? Okay.
No, it's still there.
Okay. You might be at this stage, or actually one before here. If I go from this stage, which is just the tonal values, the value relationships of the darkest dark, the form shadow, and the form light. If I start shading now, I might make value decisions that don't work in the big picture. And then I'll have to go back and erase something and lighten something, and I continue, and then I find I make some other mistake, and I have to redo everything that I did in the other part of my drawing because I don't have context. There are some people who can do this. It's called window shading. I'm trying to do a Google search to see if I can find an example of that. No, window shading brings up architecture pictures.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But Grand Central Academy in New York, yes. So you see this? There is a method where you just start somewhere and you just shade your way out from there. You just finish your drawing like a printer as you go. It's pretty impressive to me. And I mean, I guess like everything, you practice a skill and then you get better at it. If that interests you, by all means, play with it, explore it. For me, I like to work big to small, like work with the whole image at the same time. So big forms, medium forms, small forms, and then final touches. Because I kind of make decisions in the composition as I go with the context of everything else. Does that answer the question?
Very much so. Yeah, I think just knowing that you're establishing something for yourself, so you don't have to backtrack and reassess something. You give yourself that structure that you can then move ahead with confidence in, rather than having to reassess everything as you go.
Yeah. There's so many ways of drawing also, but this is something that you can rely on as a craftsperson to, make a portrait of somebody. If someone pays you to make a portrait, it's good to know that you have a method that it's going to work out. And so the point of this principle here of developing your craft, your control. You cannot make a realistic drawing if you don't have the sensitivity and the control. You can't play a song on the piano if it's the notes are all over. So to develop that control, we forget about everything else in drawing and you just focus on just the technique. This is module 3 in the shading course, and it's probably the toughest module for people going through the course. If you've made it through module 3, my hat's off to you. I congratulate you. And you probably didn't enjoy all of it, but you probably are very glad you did it.
It's like working out. Like it might not be the most fun during the thing, but you get so much from it.
Yeah. And
you're building that muscle.
It will change the way you draw. If you pushing some into new territory. And you take this with you, this experience of module 3 will be with you for the rest of your life. I really believe that. And there are 3 ways to practice this: the value gradient, value couplets, and the value scale. This is in progressive difficulty. The gradient is pretty straightforward. Couplets are more difficult, and the scale is the most challenging. The value gradient is just going from your darkest dark with the pencil you have to the value of the paper. And you're doing that in as gradual a way as you can, without any sudden jumps. Just make it smooth and even. You're also practicing edge control, which is at the outside contour. Try to keep that sharp and clean throughout. So here, it's gotten a little bit softer. This is very nitpicky of me, which I enjoy doing. You see here, it's kind of blurry, whereas here it's more sharp. You could go in here and sharpen that edge back up. You need edge control, you need value control, because that's all over the place in a drawing like this. There's soft edges, medium soft edges, hard edges, light values, dark values. And in the end, drawing, you can simplify it to shapes, values, edges. If something isn't looking right, it's either a value problem, too light, too dark. It's a shape problem, the thing isn't in the right place, or it's an edge problem, that the tone moves into a different tone too suddenly or too slowly. So you're practicing edges, transitions, I guess, in the big transition from dark to light, and also on the contour. Then the couplets. This is mostly about edge control, especially the edge at the meeting point between the 2 tones. So you pick any two swatches, 2 values you want, and you make them meet in a hard edge in the middle. You can see that kind of top left and the middle one are more successful with that, keeping the edge sharp, than the top right. This is getting a little bit blurry. If you need a sharp edge in your drawing, for example, around the eyes, because you want to enunciate precisely what that part of your drawing looks like, you need a sharp edge. So,
would you say that this is so this was a student work, or was this yours?
Yeah, these are student work.
Okay. Do you think that this came from the fact that they hadn't used the tools enough, or does some of this even possibly come down to quality of tools, like because they didn't use the right hardness of something for this particular task?
Great question as well. The main thing here, if the tool is the problem, it is that your pencil isn't sharp enough. You cannot do this with a blunt pencil. Let me see if I can find Ninja pencils. There we go. Oh, there's actually a YouTube video about this. How to sharpen Ninja pencils. So you need a really sharp point to make a sharp pencil.
There was a person in the chat here who came in. They said, like, "Oh, who are these 2 guys?" And then someone said, Ninja pencil.
Great. The meme of the Ninja pencil is spreading. Yeah, so if the tool is the problem, and it's not always the tool is the problem, but if the tool is the problem, probably your pencil isn't sharp enough. Another problem that can happen is process. If you're edge gets blurry, it's really hard to unblur it with graphite. Digital, no problem. You just paint on top of it, make a sharp edge, use the marquee masking tool. But yeah, every medium has its different challenges. And for me, I would make a sharp edge in graphite by already keep starting really sharp and starting a bit lighter, so you can redraw it darker while keeping the sharp edge.
Do you also use a particular type of paper to encourage that? It doesn't sound like you take many steps back. So in some ways, like some things like the tooth of the paper might not matter as much since you're considering it going into it. But do you have particular requirements?
Smoother paper is easier for this. I recommend the Canson Meat. Let me also bring that up. It's going to be in German, but the brand name is the same everywhere. It's not loading, but there we go. This is very widely available around the world, and it has a good amount of tooth. If the paper is too smooth, it can be hard to actually go darker because there's nothing to hold on to for the medium.
Yeah.
And it's nice, I think, to have a little bit of texture to play with different parts of your drawing being more or less textured.
Yeah.
It has a back and a front, and one is rougher and one is smoother.
If it was too smooth, you would get to a situation very rapidly, especially with graphite, where you're just trying to put graphite on graphite, and that's
sliding around, nothing's happening. Your paper is just being abused. Yes. Yeah, you want some tooth. All right. That is practice method assignment option number 2. And the darker you go, or not the darker, but the closer in value your 2 swatches are, the more difficult, right? That's also top right is more difficult than center because the contrast is less. You have to be more nuanced. Third assignment. Oh, there's more value. Couplets. This one is a good challenge. 2 values that are really close together. Third assignment is the value scale. So just like the gradient, you're going from dark to white or light, but you're doing it with a sharp edge between each swatch and even value steps all the way through. If it was a musical tone lighter, a scale, musical scale, it would be even. I'm not a musician, so I don't have the language. Intervals, I think, is what it's called. Even intervals between each note. These are your notes, but they're in tonal value.
That's tonal would still even be right for music.
Tonal is still ambiguous, yes.
Yeah, and intervals was perfect.
Yeah,
you nailed it.
Thank you. So if you squint, you lean back a little bit from your screen, and you squint your eyes, you can see that the dark tones are kind of souping together. And right here, between 5 and 6, but also 6 to 7, those steps are more pronounced. So if we wanted to go even further with this drawing and make it more even, we could darken number 7, for example, maybe lighten number 2 slightly. And the sooner you do this, like the earlier in the process you get the balance correct, the faster you are, because you have to do less fixing and lightening and adjusting, which speaks to what we mentioned before about the process of working big to small, like general to specific. We've done hundreds and hundreds of value scales in the shading course community. You can add yours. And really, like, it will change the way you draw, I think. It looks simple, looks easy. It is anything but.
It changes it deeply. And the one of the things I think that people don't consider a lot is that value is an underlying concept, even if someone is trying to do painting or anything in a different medium. So understanding values stretches out to just about everything else. It would even impact you if you were trying to do sculpture, because when you went to look at your piece, you would still look at the way that light strikes your piece and the way that that will pull someone's eye. Sometimes it stretches out into everything in art. It's so important.
Yeah, and sensitivity and control, right? And this teaches you, it develops your sensitivity by necessity, and it develops your control. And those things are so precious and so useful. One note here, if you are intimidated by the 9-step scale, which is the full assignment, it's totally fine to do 5 steps instead, which is faster, but you still get like a lot of the same benefits of practice. We need an uneven number of steps because the way you do this assignment is that you start with the extremes. So you start, we have 5, this is very rough, but we have white and black. We tone in with the darkest dark your medium can produce. And the white is already the paper. And then you start in the middle. And I would recommend dividing, into the number of steps you need. Now I made a mess. Well, I'll go to here. If you're on a 9-step scale, you have number 5 in the middle. So this one is next. You do these 2 first, and then you do this one, and then I need.
I was going to say the lines would impact the perception of those middle ones. So.
No, like I didn't have 9 steps. I need. Oh wait. I'm confusing myself.
You can.
Yeah, we need one more. We need one more here, right on the left, because we need one more in the middle.
Sure. I was going to say you could just use whatever is there and just make that the amount of steps in this for this demonstration.
Yes, also we can make this wider. We can make this wider. And so now I'm adding this in the middle, which is too similar to this one. So we need to go darker here. And then I'm adding one here in the middle, which is also too dark, so it needs to be a bit lighter. Now we have a 5-step scale, which is very rough. This can be like tuned better, so we have a smooth scale with good intervals, but that's kind of how you do it.
Yeah. It is interesting also seeing the different people that did these and seeing the level of experience, where their strengths and weaknesses are. And you could even tell what some of their material differences were in the texture of the shading. All of those things are valuable pieces of information that you gain from this exercise. You see the way that the paper takes to it. And if you do it on different papers, you'll see how that impacts it.
Absolutely, yeah. And the great thing about Proko, the platform as well, is people post their assignments. So you can look at probably 100, 200 value scales and learn from that. Yes. All right. So gradient, couplets, scale. Another skill you're developing here is creating smooth tone, which I call this method island hunting. You're going from large islands to medium islands to smaller and smaller islands, and it never ends until you run out of time or you decide you're done with it.
So you've gotten rid of all the islands.
Yes. So if you look on the first image, you can see here there's kind of a triangular shape that's lighter. Here, there's also, like, all of this is a kind of lighter, large island or large shape. Or if you think the opposite way, there's a darker shape in here. And you can see those much better if you step back from your drawing, like physical distance, or zooming out here, I guess. Can you see this guy? It's really bright. So in the first step, I would not care about any of the small dots. Like there's also a light island here, this guy. Don't care. Working big to small. So step 1 would be to come in and just get that light island to the same tonal value as everything else. And I do that one thing, like one island at a time, and then step back and decide if it's better or worse. Before, after. Clearly better, right? And then I'm going to the next biggest island, and then the biggest island, and the biggest island. And gradually the biggest islands will become smaller. So in the second step, you can see maybe this guy right here. It's like a dark splotch right there. So I would come in and take that out.
And that would be dabbing it with an eraser, or
yeah, kneadable eraser. So you can shape it, make like a wedge, a pointy wedge, and then come in and just boom, erase that bit, which you need sensitivity and control to do that. Otherwise, you will go with your eraser and you do this, and you step back and you're like, oh my god, and add pencil again. And that will happen in the beginning, and it will happen less and less the more you develop your skill.
For this kind of assignment, how is it that people do this if they're working digitally?
You don't need to do this so much because you can just, take a big brush and even out the islands like that. But the awareness, I think if you're primarily working digitally, I would still recommend doing this. Like you'll do this if you do couplets or any of the three assignments I just spoke about, the gradient, the couplets, the scale. You need quiet tones. If your tones are super messy, you can't really see if your scale is working.
Yeah.
Like this one here. Sorry. It's just
this book
too sketchy to really see what value each tone is in the scale.
Yeah, they start communicating other things unintentionally about something, like the surface of something. So would you, if someone did want to try to do this digitally, would you recommend they try to do it with a brush that's supposed to mimic a pencil very accurately, or?
No, I just would do it traditionally.
Okay.
I think. But I would do it anyway, because this is from Craig Mullins. You see this kind of dither. There is noise here, but it's beautifully used. There is noise and texture here, but it's very different than the noise and texture here. There is still noise and texture, but it's so much more quiet because this is like the shadow in the neck behind the ear. It's like just a whisper of shadow, which is alive. Like it's not a flat tone, which is really boring. If you do this, that's a dead shadow. Not good.
There's no vibrancy. There's no like communicated. What's the subsurface scattering for skin, where light still goes in there and illuminates it to a certain degree?
Yeah, and just as soon as you include different colors, different hues, there's a whole science about this. Jeremy Vickery is great at teaching that. Color, also on Proko. And I'm doing it very roughly, but you can see the difference between this and what we had before, which is just one flat color. The point I'm making is the assignments I just mentioned will teach you the awareness and the control, so you can choose how much texture you want to wear and to even notice it. That's craft. And that's a way for you to express yourself. If you're totally unaware of it, it's not available to you as a way to express yourself. If you're aware of it, but you can't do it with your hands because it's just you're drawing like too harshly, then more practice will give you more subtle control.
Yeah, I think Craig Mullins is a very good example of this as well. Just in general, in his pieces, when you look at something of his zoomed in
chaos and
versus
control coexisting.
Yeah, and it's nuts because sometimes he's also clearly working for speed, and so he'll communicate texture in such a way where it's like if you zoomed in on it, like so many digital artists do, then you think that you have to like place all these perfect little lines, but he'll just put some wild scribble looking things that contextually mean nothing until you look at the whole. He's a very interesting artist to look at.
For sure. Continuing with principle number 4, organizing values. it's tricky to check in with the audience because I think there's like a 30-second or maybe more delay. But let me just check in with you, Stephen. Should we take a question break or should I keep going? I feel like it's a lot of information. I don't want to overload people.
If you do have, if you feel that inclination, I think I can ask you at least a couple questions and then we can continue.
Yeah.
Okay. So about the pencil, this might be a good one to establish, to discuss through the other concepts that we've got here. Someone was asking, is there a reason that a lot of artists who use pencils sharpen their pencil in a way where it tapers like that, where there's more lead showing? And then one other person gave the answer to this, saying the longer the lead, the greater the master you are.
Maybe.
But what is the reason for you? Because I do think that this is also different across different mediums.
Yes. My reason for sharpening pencils with a longer lead, and they don't have to be this long as they are in the picture up here, it can be more like this. My purpose for doing that is that the lead just stays sharper longer and I can see better what I'm doing. It sounds silly, but just try it. If you have a blunt pencil, you can't see past your pencil. Like the wood is in the way of you seeing what the point is doing. When you're doing detailed work, it's like just too much stuff in the way. So shaving away that wood makes the lead thinner, and you can see past the lead much easier than seeing past all of the wood of the pencil. And as you draw, you'll develop this habit of just sharpening the pencil as you draw. You just twist it a little bit. You notice it's getting a little chisel shape. So you twist it a little bit and you keep sharpening the pencil as you draw, as you deposit graphite on the drawing. And it can just stay sharper longer. Bad example. I saw that the video went to my...
Yeah, there we go.
You cannot draw fine detail with a pencil like this.
Yeah.
This is not sharp. Like this is like what
it's getting better.
Sharpener would do. And then I don't have a Ninja pencil handy. I've seen them.
Dorian, I want to put forward, there might be a Ninja pencil in that room with you, but you can't see it because they're hiding so well because
yes, I know you're there somewhere. You come and poke me at night.
So I think looking through the other questions that I've got here stacked up so far, I don't think that they necessarily directly relate to things or they require a longer explanation. So we can continue into going into organizing values if you want.
Yeah, this was a good little breather. All right, organizing values. We do this to give ourselves a map, not to get lost in the jungle that can be a drawing, or in the drawing that can be a jungle, or the painting, or whatever it is, your project that you're creating. If you don't have a plan for what you're doing with the tonal values, you can really get lost and just waste a lot of time. But if you take 15 minutes, half an hour, and make a value study, you will be in much better shape. One of the ideas here is not to work with matching values exactly, because depending on the medium you're using, you can't actually do that. If you're using a 2H pencil, you cannot match you cannot draw a black car with black, like super dark color, because your 2H pencil doesn't go full black. What we're more interested in is the relationships between values. And one of the concepts there is local value. This is how light or how dark the material is that you're drawing. So the sculpture on the left is a lighter material, then a medium, still lightish medium material, and a darker material. This limits how light something can go, and kind of the context you are working within. Maybe you've seen drawings like this, where there's a bigger final drawing, a project, and then on the side is a study. And these studies are called value studies. And the purpose is to figure out the relationships of the value groups. I've never needed more than 5 value groups.
For a value study?
Sorry?
For a value study in particular?
Doesn't matter if I'm painting a landscape with 20 people. having fun at the park, or a portrait of a single person, a face, just draw an ear. Sometimes you can do it with 3 value groups, and you can say everything and state everything sufficiently, and it's really clear. Sometimes you need 4, sometimes you need 5, but you never really need more than 5.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to add another one, and then you have 6, you just added the relationship of that value group 6 compared related to value group 5, compared related to value group 4, related to value group 3. So it's like really complicating things. So
Yeah.
don't push past, I mean, explore, play, but you don't need 5, more than 5, more than likely.
And what is the purpose of the value study in that context?
To find the relationship between those 5 groups.
And so, like, if in the context where someone is doing a bigger piece and they do that little smaller one, why would they not just do that on the big one?
Because it's slow, very slow, especially with charcoal. If you picked the wrong value for the background and you made it too dark, you might swear because the next hour, half hour, I don't know, depends how you work and everything, you will spend lightening that whole background up again. You don't want to do that while the model is there and you're paying for the model time and the model is going to leave in 3 days. I know 3 days might seem like a lot of time for some of you, but make a drawing like this and you realize there's never enough time, even if you have 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
So the value study is a map. It's like you establish how dark is the hair, the darkest dark of the hair, how dark does it go? And then how dark is the light part of the hair in relation to that? We have value group 5 for the darkest dark, that's right here, and value group 4 for the light part of the hair. And the light part of the hair is the same tone as the form shadow in the figure in the skin. So we can reuse, it's like squeezing out that paint from a tube, and you can put that paint everywhere where it fits. And you're simplifying, of course, you're losing some fidelity, like there's more nuance on the model, but this helps you so much if you establish those relationships. In a little study, you can make changes quickly. And then once you figure it out, you can go on your big drawing with confidence that you're knowing where you're going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you calling it the map, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Super succinct explanation. It's a thing that allows you to move ahead with confidence, knowing that you have this accurate idea.
Mm-hmm. There are 2 methods for making a value study that, in my thinking, if you have a simple subject with one local color, local value, you can use light logic to group your values. And I'll walk you through that. If you have a complex subject with many different, there's light fabric and dark fabric and metal from the dagger and leaves and everything, you can't really conceptualize it. You have to look at what those tones are, and you work with value similarity, just visually. The tunic of this person, the part in light, is the same value or close enough to the shadow of the main figure here. That will become one value group. So let's take a look at light logic grouping first. We go back to our trusty sphere. We have the light family and shadow family. That's the foundational distinction, no-tan stage. The next, almost always, the next useful thing to add is the dark halftones, because it's very different from the form light, and it's also very different from the shadow family.
Mm-hmm.
So we add that. That gives us now light halftones and dark halftones. And then we have reflected light and core shadow. The reflected light is creating the core shadow. And we have the cast shadow. Because we're always limited in our groups, we have to be judicious, careful about where we use another group. So we can add another group for reflected lights, and another group for core shadows, and another group for cast shadows. But then we're running out of value groups. So I always want to, again, like working big to small, stepping back, seeing the big picture. What is the biggest difference here? And if we simplify reflected light and core shadow into just form shadow, if you squint, kind of lean back, it doesn't change that much. We can just call it an average form shadow value. That's another group. And then cast shadow becomes another group, which is clearly darker than off the form shadow. So now we have 4 groups. Great. We have even one spare if we need a specular reflection. That's how I think. Like, each group is precious. I don't want to squander them. Do as much as you can with as few groups as possible. So in terms of what that actually looks like on a drawing, this is a painting. It's an oil painting on the right. Step 1, separate light and shadow. So I'm kind of going through, I do this in my mind, but I did it here with these colorful tags. Red means light family. So light family here, light family here, light family here, light family here. And yellow is shadow family. All of these parts are in shadow. Also this one, it's quite light, but that's reflected light coming into that shadow shape and brightening it up. But because we're using light logic, it's grouped with shadows because it's a shadow. And then the cast shadow is still just a shadow. We're just dividing into light family and shadow family. Step 2, adding the dark halftones. So again, I'm going through and trying to find where are the dark halftones. On the side of the nose, up here, upper lip, down here, beautiful dark halftones. The next step, final step, is to find the value group that is most different from everything else. And here, that's the cast shadow. So that, which before was just shadow family, now becomes its own group. I felt this is also a little bit abstract, so I'll walk you through here again. Separating light and shadow, no time stage. And you're always losing something when you're simplifying and grouping, right? So here we've lost the distinction between cast shadow and form shadow. That's all now one thing. And I encourage you to do this in your drawings. It's scary, especially if you spent time finding that bottom of the chin. Like, where is that exactly? What angle is it? If I shade everything in, I lose that. But trust yourself, you'll find it again. And the unification, simplification is actually helpful because now you're seeing the big shape. All of this is shadow family. You can see the whole thing as one shape. Then adding dark halftones. This will help the form to start turning as well. But we're still working with value groups. Now we have the dark, like the shadow is one group, halftone is a second group, and light is a third group. Then I looked at the whole reference image and my drawing. I was like, oh, the background is much darker on the reference. Let's put a value group there. Can we use the same group as our shadow family? Yep, much better. We're still only using 3 groups. Good choice. And then we add one more group, the one with the biggest difference, and that's the cast shadow. And we're done. This is a value study, and it's super helpful to now go apply to the big drawing, the final painting.
Dorian, have you seen, by any chance, there's a tool that we made that was meant for checking work? It's our value study tool.
I have not, but
yeah,
let me pull it up.
It's proko.com/values, just as a short link.
Oh, I have to upload something.
Yeah, you just drop any image in there. Like it can be a screen grab, whatever you want. But yeah, it's when you determine the steps. It's the functions that people would normally do inside of Photoshop and everything. But this way they don't have to have Photoshop. They can simplify the edges, I believe, is in there. Yeah, it's just a quick way for people to check against their studies for what they intended to do and then see how it turned out for them.
Yes, I've seen a few tools like this, and I don't really like them.
I get it.
I think it's fun to play with, but it's not really how a painter sees.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Like it might get you too tight. Maybe I'm not using them properly.
Sure. A lot of tools, like there's going to be something that someone suggests and it doesn't strike your brain in the way, or the way that you conceptualize something doesn't gel with that thing. Because I certainly have plenty of situations where someone's like, this is the greatest tool I've ever used. I pick it up and I'm like, well, it's trash garbage. I can already do this with my normal pencil.
it's not garbage, but I think it can be misleading or yeah, people could get lost. One thing I miss is the edge simplification.
Mhm.
I've played also with making a tool like this myself, and I couldn't figure out to do it in a way that really gets to what I think would be helpful.
Mhm.
One of my, well, not one of, my favorite Photoshop filter is the median filter.
Uh-huh.
You go to filter, noise, median, because you'll see in a moment what it does. It makes the image look kind of like what happens when you squint with like the human eye. It simplifies the image. It maintains soft edges soft or even softer, but it keeps sharp edges sharpish. So this is a great kind of simplification and showing the essence of the image on the left.
Mhm.
And I know tools like this have the simplicity slider, but it's working differently than the median filter.
Yeah, you like the diffuse nature of the median.
Yeah. And there must be a way, I think it's just computationally heavy to do the median filter, like calculated in the browser.
Yeah, no, absolutely, without a doubt. There's some very simple math that happens with the other type of edge simplification and everything, but I think that could happen. Maybe I'll reach out to you. I'll put you in contact with Stan. Maybe we can hone in on this thing. It would
Like
be
a
a fun
version 2.
challenge. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought about this quite a lot, and I thought about writing about it, but haven't gotten around to it yet.
Mhm.
There's also an app, a value study tool or some value study app or something like this
Mhm.
that I tested a bit, and I had the same kind of response and challenge with it.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
And if you find it useful, for all of you like watching and you've tried it, by all means, use it, whatever
Yeah.
works.
Or you just wait till we have that version 2 that we make with Dorian.
All right, with complex subject matter, we can't use light logic like form light, dark halftone, and so forth. That will all fall apart. It just doesn't work. So what we do instead is use the median filter, which is I hadn't planned to compare, but that's the slides, right? I stripped the color so we can just look at the tonal value a bit more clearly, and then we go through median filter, softer and softer and softer, and that's what happens when you squint at the subject. You want to see the big shapes, big relationships. So maybe we can group the lightest figure, that skin, together with this jacket. That would be great. Maybe they're too different and we actually need 2 groups. This is the lightest group and this is the second lightest group. But probably the shoulder up here, we can use the lightest group for that. And then this tunic, I'm just going to, as I paint, I'm looking for similarities and opportunities for grouping things together. So I have a funky texture brush. This tone, probably we can use down here. And there's 2 values here. There's 3, A, B, C. But overall, if we just take that tone and put it here, that's close enough. Or maybe we'll darken the whole group. So it's better down here, and then this also gets darkened. And maybe the folds all become one thing. And in the shading course, there's a full demo of me doing a value study of this painting, Velasquez. And that's as far as I get, I think. I'm looking at what is similar across the image. I don't care about whether it's a halftone or a shadow, or because the shadow of one material might be the light of another material, because they have different local values. In all of this, there's this concept of the effect that Andrew Loomis talks about, I think. Or if he doesn't talk about it, he demonstrates it beautifully with this image on the top right. That's the essence in terms of value of this image on the bottom. And that's kind of what the median filter would get you. And it's not what the tools for value organization give you if you turn the simplification slider up and down. It's like a different kind of simplifying, getting rid of details, but keeping the big things in place.
Mm-hmm.
Also here, so these are value studies, composition studies. And if the painting or composition doesn't work at this scale, at this level of simplicity, it's probably not going to work as a final piece. But if it's strong as a value study, it has good potential to work as a final large piece with all the details as well. So your value study is your map. Use it. Opportunity, of course, value study. First, there's 2 or 3 assignments here and different worksheets. This, and you can take a screenshot of this as well and just play with it. My challenge here is to make a value study on the right where you're only using 4 value groups.
Mm. Well, and apparently it's all black right now. You can only use 4 black.
Say again?
Because your palette is just 4 blacks.
Right now, yes. But you can add, and this is a good point actually, that is a little nuance, but your darkest dark is rarely pure black.
Yeah.
Here it's pretty close, but I wouldn't choose pure black. And the lightest one is rarely pure white.
That being said, don't be afraid to go darker. One of, I think, a very common shading mistake is being afraid to go dark with a thing that you perceive as having a lighter local value.
Yeah, especially with pencil.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the value study kind of helps you to overcome that tendency too. I think that many of us have. We're timid about damaging our drawing and just going too dark. If you've done a value study, you have the opportunity in the study, which is a throwaway thing, to test how dark you can go. Like the background, should it be this? It can probably be darker. So you push a bit darker. It can be this, and at some point you stop, and like that's your background value. And then you put that here. And then the second value will be lighter, will be probably the form shadow of the cube here. So that will go here, and the rest I'll stop here because it's a puzzle. And there's a few decisions and trade-offs you have to make. There are multiple solutions, but I think there's one solution that is kind of that works best. That's the first worksheet, 4 value groups. And the second one, here's an example in pencil. Second worksheet is this, where you have a bunch of different subjects and you're doing the value study on the right, and you can use 3, 4, 5 value groups. Always see first if you can do it in 3. If not, add a 4th. Maybe that's enough. If it's not enough, add a 5th, but only if you really need to, because it slows you down. And there are 2 variants of the worksheet. That's the harder one here, where you see all the details, all the stuff that lures you in. You want to draw a little tiny master study.
Uh-huh.
That is not the point. Simplify, 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 step back. We're doing a value study. We're not doing a tiny master copy.
Wait, Dorian, I have a question for you. We're talking about photo reference that people might be working off of.
Yeah.
Do you have a hard time recommending people take their own reference now because of the way that smartphone cameras just destroy the value structure of real life with HDR photos, where they bring up shadows and pull down the highlights? Or do you not think that this is a thing to consider?
I haven't thought about it that much.
Okay.
Probably more important than the camera is the subject itself.
Okay. And the light that's actually revealing the form of them?
Yeah, that whatever you're photographing as reference has good lighting, which is a thing, is a skill. It's like for a long time, I remember as a teenager when I started drawing, I thought if I draw something perfectly as it is, it will be a great drawing. It will be beautiful. Not true.
No.
If you draw a subject that's poorly lit, flat lighting, you can draw it just as it is, and it will look flat.
Yeah.
So
You want to tell a story with the structure of the light and shadow on it. Like me, I look awful right now, and that's a meeting of two different factors.
overexposed.
Yeah, the webcam is doing some terrible things, and my light is not placed at a more ideal angle, and it's incredibly diffuse, and not in a good way in this particular situation. But yeah, the lighting makes a huge difference. So
Yeah, and so does the camera. Yeah, so I think there are some apps where you can turn off all of that post-processing,
mhm.
and you can control even a smartphone camera like an analog camera with aperture and
Mhm.
shutter speed, and manually control the image you get.
If anybody does run into that situation and they're like, I'm trying to take this photo, and it's just every time I take the photo, it pauses for a second, it looks so good, and then it looks terrible after it processes it. Try just taking a video instead, and then you can take a still from the video, because they're not as prone to processing the video images. It's just a small
Interesting.
little hack without installing an extra thing.
Nice. Thank you for that.
Mhm.
Okay, so we have two different versions of this worksheet. This is difficult mode, hard mode. This is more beginner friendly. What did I do? Median filter. Because this is what matters. Like, I don't care about the fur of this bear. To me, it's just shapes, values, edges. And I want to group values here. So the fur of the bear is the same value here as the shadow in the, is it snow? Is it water? I don't know. It's snow, right? We can use the same tone, same group down here and up here, and also up here. And the shadow of the bear is the same as the shadow of the rocks. That's what I care about. So these images are simplified, and it's a bit easier to do the value studies. You still have to make decisions, especially where you have gradients, like soft transitions. You have to make a choice of where you put which tone. And explain and demonstrate all of that inside of the course if you want to go deeper with that.
Mhm. Oh, look at, we're breaking some eggs. We're gonna make an omelet.
I really enjoyed making these slides, going with the egg theme. On one of the live streams, I started with eggs hanging everywhere. I still have them. I bought like 100 plastic eggs, decorated my studio.
Wait, so how exactly did you make these?
These, well, I'm afraid of that conversation, but I
Okay.
like technology.
I get you. I get you.
So
I understand that these were made technologically. I understand.
Yes.
Yes.
And then careful curation and painting on top and refining and compositing. And there's a lot of work that went into this.
Yeah.
Probably too
Absolutely.
much. But I enjoy it. Like making all of the progression bar. This is graphic design. This is good teaching, I think. I know that I'm really
that's
this topic.
That's a separate presentation. This one is about shading. This is a separate presentation.
I appreciate what Jeremy did with that video of speaking about AI and art. And I don't know if that organization is, everything that's going on there, but the response he got, I think, is not helpful. There's so many emotions.
I see.
Like, I think we need to learn and discuss and not yell at each other.
Yeah, it turns out that the person who teaches shading, where it's a whole it's a range of things, and it's not just
it can
black
be yes
or white.
And.
Yeah, you have a nuanced perspective.
I hope so.
Yeah. But yeah, so this one is the four common shading mistakes. What are the mistakes we've got? 4
common shading mistakes. We all make them, especially at the beginning. I've made all of them, and you've probably made all of them too. So you can take this, not you, Stephen, specifically, although that too, probably.
I am also a you in this case. I have made these.
You can take this as a checklist and like take one of your recent pieces and look at it and see if any of these mistakes are there, and then go fix it. Number 1, the classic. making the reflected light too bright.
Yeah.
It just happens, especially if you work within the shadows for a longer time, your eyes kind of adjust and it looks bright, so you make it bright. And then you go for a break and you come back and you're like, what did I do? Because it's just way too bright, too strong. Easy to fix. If it's too bright, you just darken it.
I did have a question from someone that fits very well for this moment.
Great.
Hopefully the person is here. It's been a little bit since they asked. This person was asking, please explain how to find bounce light and environment light and the percentage of these appearing on the subject. You do have a whole video about this on Proko that I can also suggest to people, but do you want to address that at all?
I want to open Blender, but I also don't want to open Blender because then we're in a whole rabbit hole. But broadly, ambient light you can think of as just the light that's in the scene that's bouncing around. And some scenes, this is like scattered light bouncing off the walls and just everywhere. Generally with a direction, either from the top or from a wall that's creating a lot of bounce light. Overall, the effect of ambient light is that it will brighten the shadow family. So if you have a lot of ambient light, well, sorry, this is very crude, but this effect will happen. Like all your shadows are getting lighter because ambient light is shining in them, except where you have ambient occlusion. Ambient light, like direct light, cannot get there, and even ambient light cannot get there. So that's why these parts stay dark, and they tend to be the darkest shadows in your whole scene. Just like the specular reflection is the lightest light, ambient occlusion is the darkest dark.
One of the things that I always recommend to people when they see they're trying to understand the idea of ambient occlusion is to just like take your palm, and I know that this is going to get entirely lost. Let's see. But yeah, if you take your palm and you look at the thing and then you just wrinkle it and look at those areas where your wrinkles are actually shown, you can see the thing that was formerly a fully lit surface, just nothing can get into those little cracks. And so they become revealed in that way. I think it's such a easy explanation, and then people can modify it and look at it however they want in different angles and see how light still can't get in there.
Nice. I like that. Yes. And reflected light, generally, I call something reflected light if I can point to the surface where the reflected light is bouncing off. So in this case, the floor light is coming in from the light source. It's hitting the floor and it's bouncing off of the floor. So it's I need a source of reflected light. It could be the wall as well. If we have a wall that's painted yellow in this imaginary room, that yellow color will come over and affect the shadow here. There'll be reflected light visible there.
You get into a pretty technical explanation of the way that light works at times, where it's based in science and physics and things. One of, I think, the most interesting concepts about the way that color works is that like color isn't this necessarily like inherent thing. It's like a thing isn't yellow. It's the way that light bouncing off of that thing. It just becomes such an
absorbs all the colors spectrum except for yellow, and it sends it away.
Exactly. And it's insane that that's the way that this works, because we have no reason to even conceptualize that until we have to for some technical purpose.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I love it. Ready for the second shading mistake? Making the light halftones too dark.
Yeah.
This is also called dirty lights. And it's not good in a portrait, for example. If the cheeks of your lover that you're painting a portrait of all look sunken in or stained with something dark, that's because your halftones are getting too dark. Darker than what the form itself would create. So the only explanation for your brain is that it must be the surface that's stained. Or the form is turning more than it actually is turning. So the solution here is to lighten that tone that's too dark and protect the brightness of your halftones.
I see. There was a question earlier from a person. They asked, "How do you know what the dark halftones are in the light versus the Terminator?" The
Mhm.
Terminator, like you were saying, it's like that. It's that more pronounced line.
Terminator is the country border.
Hmm.
You can't really see it. You can only see it as in the light stops here. Maybe let's
You
look
see,
at.
its effects almost more than it itself.
Yeah, you see its presence by the shadow starts after Terminator. And so any dark tone before the Terminator is the dark halftone. The yellow part is all form shadow. And so all of the pink part is dark halftone. And it's shocking when you start getting into this. It's really shocking, amazing how dark it actually gets just before it dips into shadow. Like let's color pick this tone and I'll put it somewhere up here. It's so dark. But this is still in the form light, still in the light family.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I think the person I got to actually go to their YouTube channel. The person who was asking,
Okay.
and they have a good understanding of a lot of fundamentals. They're making
Mhm.
well rendered work. I think they're just at that stage now where their ability and their knowledge, because they know more, they're starting to kind of question the principles that they're learning, so they can establish the boundaries of the different ideas to
Mhm.
define them a little bit more. It's nice to see them being at that stage.
Great. Yeah. That distinction between dark halftone and shadow is useful when like in your work, in your process, I think. And the danger is to draw dark halftones, like this is a halftone shape, or this is a halftone shape. The danger is to draw those as shadows, which again will make your subject look harsh, or like, yeah, there's just too much contrast in the wrong places. If we take an actual shadow color and we can be generous and take a light shadow color here where there's some reflected light, if I put that up here in the halftone, that's just the wrong tone, just way too harsh.
Mhm.
So if you find the Terminator in the beginning, you tone in all your actual shadow shapes and keep, if you're in doubt with halftones, just leave them as light. Don't tone them
Fair.
in.
Yeah, and then it could almost look like an intentional choice. That's actually one of my favorite things when people play with the value range for something and they decide to, like, let's say they're only going to have 5 values, and they
Mhm.
decide to basically push a bunch of the lighter halftones into just the highlight, and then put all of the detail and information into more of the shadows.
Mhm.
I think it's such a cool choice. It's like an overexposed photo. It's cool.
Yeah, with all of this, you can have a lot of fun playing.
All right, mistake
Third,
number 3. Let's do it.
third common shading mistake to avoid. Not making the dark halftones that we just spoke about, not
Mhm.
making them dark enough. If you do this, you will have this effect that's almost looking like there's a glowing line hugging your Terminator. Also super common. And it's so satisfying to fix this. If you just add the dark halftones, then whoop, your whole form becomes one thing and it turns and it pops off the page.
Mhm.
And number 4 is forgetting about ambient occlusion, which is quite
Mm.
easy actually, especially if you're drawing from imagination, because it's always around us. We're kind of not used to putting it in there, but it makes such a difference with occlusion and without occlusion.
Mhm. There were a lot of, like, were are you a person who was did you enjoy book covers a lot when you were younger? Like, let's say you're going through the library as a kid. Were you looking at book covers
Sure,
with illustrations a lot?
of course.
Uh, I was obsessed with every book cover I could see across the library. I loved going to the library so very much. And there was this look to a lot of these book covers, especially for like kids or teenagers in the 80s and 90s. where I feel like none of them had like a full dark to areas. Like I
Oh,
don't know if it was a product of them working on very quick turnaround times, and so maybe they were just like very quickly working on something with like a light wash over just a value piece. I don't know. I don't know what the technical thing was, but there was a look where there was like no actual ambient occlusion to anything. It was more like local values.
and you're missing the darkest darks and it looks washed out, or
Uh-huh.
just
And
looks a bit flat?
especially at the point of ambient occlusion, especially
Mm.
at that. Yeah, there was just this look to all these books from the 80s and 90s, and I haven't ever gotten to really examine that too much to see if it was a limiting factor of the
What
medium
was
or
the
what it
cause?
was.
It's an unsolved
Yeah.
mystery.
Yeah, I desperately want to know, but all of those illustrators are probably dead now.
Not all.
Yeah, at least a couple are still around, I'm sure. I've go open some books, but yeah, I think it gives a certain look that it can feel like you're trying to communicate a certain energy that you are doing accidentally. It's very good to be able to do something on purpose rather than just accidentally.
Sure. Speaking of doing something on purpose, I made all 4 mistakes on purpose in one picture.
Good
So let's
segue.
fix each one. So reflected light is too bright. Let's darken it. Better.
Mhm.
Light halftones are too dark. So we have dirty lights. Let's fix that. Much better. We still have halos in the dark halftones though. Let's darken the dark halftone. And then ambient occlusion. Wonderful. Here they
It's
are.
good
If you
to
want
see
to take
them.
a screenshot, 3, 2, 1. Next. Practice for avoiding these common shading mistakes is an assignment that I call affectionately the perfect egg. And the point with this assignment is to draw the most refined and realistic drawing you've ever made in your whole life. Because you are stretching, reaching into new terrain and skills you haven't touched before. And
Mhm.
again, you will bring that with you, that experience, in all the future work you do. Even if it's abstract art, doesn't matter. You've expanded what you've encountered. So some student work examples. And you're bringing everything together that you've learned in the past modules. And I left a lot of things out, of course, because we're doing a distillation. But you recognize some of the modeling factors now and island hunting and things like that.
Mm-hmm. I do like the shape chosen for the outer parts. It like the
Yeah, this is
gaps
nice.
in the shading. It's done with intention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in this assignment, you can also practice composition, like placing the darkest shadow right against the bright form light was a conscious choice. It makes the drawing more dramatic. That fabric could have been positioned, and I'm sure it was positioned at some point in a way where it would catch the light right here.
Mm-hmm.
Like that fold that's here now, you could fold the back to catch light also here. But then we have less contrast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's less dramatic, maybe less interesting. Yes, it's a wonderful assignment, I think.
Here.
Also done by people from around the world. I am looking at the clock. It took me 45 minutes when I practiced this, and now we're already an hour and a half into this. We just passed the halfway point. What should we do?
So I probably won't do as much of the Q&A stuff. Like I think I'll just ask the questions that come up as we work through this one. If anything is relevant, I think that you're giving plenty of information that a person can use, even outside of the Q&A things. Some of those are also some medium questions that I would recommend they go check out your Instagram, your YouTube channel to answer some of the things. Like there was one person who was asking about using powdered charcoal or powdered graphite. You do have lessons that talk about utilizing different mediums. I think they should follow you and check out your channel. That's in the description so that they can get some more of that kind of knowledge. but we'll probably focus predominantly on this presentation, and I'll ask less questions.
So we'll power through.
Yeah. I think we'll go through the rest of it. If it runs over, that's okay with me, if that's okay with you.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So everyone, maybe grab a glass of water if yours is empty. Or, stand up, shake yourself.
Yeah.
We're kind of halfway point. We're doing part 2.
And even if you're watching this as like a replay, a VOD, don't be afraid to also stand up, maybe stretch a little bit and take a drink of water. That's probably good for
your
you.
brain. You will learn better, actually.
All right, let's dig
in. Quick shout out when I hear powdered charcoal and graphite. Casey Bow is phenomenal at using these media. He sprays, like here's a charcoal backhoe. He made his own kit product. He uses acetone. He sprays it on his drawings, so stuff drips all over. It's just so fun.
I see.
If you don't know about his work, recommend looking it up.
Yeah, here. That's good.
Okay. Principle number 6. Shading equals the subject plus the environment. We spoke about ambient light a bit, but all of the shading, the whole thing, your subject looks like it looks because of the whole environment it is in. The light source is part of that environment, but so is the yellow wall that's reflecting light back into it, or the floor or whatever. So the more you can understand the subject within the space, the more realistic your shading, your work will become. And I learned some of this from visual effects, studying visual effects. This is from Prometheus, 2012 film. And on set, it actually looked like this. So all the stuff in the back was composited into what was on the film, like on the roll or the digital footage. And to do that magic, you have to understand where the light is coming from. And visual effect artists use a tool that's called a light probe with 2 spheres, or sometimes 1 sphere with 2 halves, where one is a specular reflection, a mirror surface or chrome, and the other is a matte gray surface. So you're getting the reflections, which shows you where exactly in the space around you the light sources are positioned. Here we can see there are 2 softbox lamps. That's the specular reflection. And on the right, we see what those 2 softbox lamps actually do to the shading here, which is flatten it out pretty much. But we have a darker tone a little bit at the top because there's no light coming from the top. There's just a ceiling with some reflected light, but this is very subtle shading. But the point here is the light probe as a tool to show you the environment in the mirror reflection and the effects of that environment in terms of shading. And we take that and we use it for drawing as artists. Most materials are a combination of specular and diffuse shading, like your skin. If you put a little bit of oil on it, it becomes more specular, more shiny, but it still has a terminator, form light, form shadow on it. So here's a student at Barcelona Academy, where I was teaching for a while, drawing a light probe for her cast drawing to show where exactly the light is coming from. That's another really useful thing. It shows you the light direction. And it represents also the material, in this case, the plaster that she is drawing. And look, 5 value groups and a little value study as the map for the actual work.
This is also this photo. It's not intended as such, but this is also an interesting example of composition and what might pull the eye, because I did absolutely Kermit or whatever that is. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And masters do this, right? They use the light probes. James Gurney using a Christmas ornament to stick it into his maquette setup as a reference for painting these imaginary dinosaurs. I'm sure there's probably also dinosaur maquettes that he stuck into that scene.
Oh yeah, James is a wild man. He'll go to town on making things for his work.
Yes. So the practice opportunity here is to actually draw light probes. And I invite you to take your favorite movie, take stills from that movie, and draw 3 light probes, one for like 3 different materials. So we have this, either the lamp, I'm not sure, or the wood in the background, the skin, and the cloth, the fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And then show the light direction and show how the material responds to that light direction. Form light, form shadow. There's some specular reflection here for the skin. You'll learn a lot from doing that.
Yeah, I like that. I haven't seen that particular practice before for a study. That's a really cool one.
Yeah. Also, traditional media, if you prefer, if you're working in graphite or charcoal. We have the nose, the hat, and the glasses. They're so fun. They're really cool.
Yeah, and this is really interesting, and it's such an interesting one because when you do this well, it's gonna look like they exist in the scene almost.
Exactly. Yeah.
Huh.
One thing I like to do when I give feedback in class is to take a light probe and then put it in the place, like this represents the head, right? Take it and put it in place of the head.
It feels contextually like it actually
you can,
fits.
like, stretch it a little bit. If you did your light probe well, then it will just sit there.
Uh-huh. Wait, Dorian, I'm curious. Are you familiar with the concept of carcinization?
Spell that for me.
CAR. I think it's a. Oh my god, I never have to write this anymore. Okay, so yeah, carcinization. CARCINIZATION. Essentially, everything evolves into crabs.
Into crabs.
Yeah, everything becomes crabs. Like crabs are in some way, shape, or form the ideal life form.
I have not been familiar with that. I will dig deeper.
I like the notion was that for me, like for you, everything becomes eggs.
I thought you were going to say this looks like a crab.
No. Yeah,
No.
it's like you had this sphere, and then when you took it and you put it in the place of the head, you stretched just the top.
I couldn't help it. I am the egg man. It's a great symbol, I think. Like egg is the beginning of life. You know, it's all in mystery. I also made a game that's called the Light Direction Game. If you have any suggestions for names, contact me. But what you can do here, if you go to tools.dorian.art,
I'll put that in the link.
Find the Light Direction Game. And it's basically 4 sets of images where you have a render, and then you need to find which of these light probes corresponds to that lighting. And your goal is to have as few guesses as possible.
I like that. That's a handy one. That's fun.
7. 1, 2, 3, read. This one I learned from Scott Robertson, also a fantastic teacher and artist. It is setting up your lighting. We spoke about good lighting and bad lighting before. Good lighting often has this quality that there's a clear light side, a halftone side, and a shadow side. And not so good lighting, for clarity at least, if that's your criteria. For example, here we have a light side and then a shadow side and the shadow side. It's much harder for the brain to interpret the light or the form, the structure of the subject with this type of light. So 1, 2, 3 is light, halftone, and shadow. Stephen, what's this?
Oh, I'm the worst at this. I refuse to do public math, and this is art math.
I can't ask the audience because there's the delay. So this is 1, 1, 3, right? We have light and shadow.
Yeah. It feels like 1. This is 1. And then the top and the side plane, the farthest right one, feel the same.
Yeah, they're both shadow. So 1, 3, 3. It's like it's hard to understand what's happening. This is not 1, 2, 3 lighting. 1, 3, 3. Same.
Yeah, it's interesting because the color difference in the two, there's like a temperature
Yeah.
difference, and so it could push you in thinking something.
I really enjoy making these reference images because again, like I get lost, like, oh, look at the specular reflection on the wood.
Yeah.
But
okay.
this is
And
what happens
these
when
are
you have
all
a flash mounted on the camera. You get 1, 1, 1 lighting. Like you're blasting your subject with light from the front, which is the same direction that you're looking at the subject at.
exactly. Yeah, so
just
these are all
washes out
facing
all the form.
you. On the other side, they would be different values, but presented to you, the viewer or the camera, these are all the same.
Yeah. So here's some examples where you have light. All of this is clearly like number 1, light, and then we have shadow over here, and we have some halftone shapes, which are all subtle in here or here as well. Light, shadow, and then halftone on the back, halftone on the leg. I'd like to take a screenshot of that. There's also a video about this on YouTube, but I guess I should have cut this slide. I'll delete it right now. Too much cognitive load. Practice for this is called building blocks, where you take an image and you reinterpret it, like you show that subject as cubes, cylinders, spheres. Because to render convincingly, especially if you're doing it from imagination, you have to understand what the form is doing.
It's interesting. Do you normally work with the shape that is the box for the torso and that kind of sphere that was in there? Or was that purely to indicate the different...
These are student works.
Okay.
I would simplify it more. I guess here's a kind of boxy shoulder section and then a more spherical rib cage. I think this is a bit too complex. I would keep it simpler for this assignment.
Yeah, because by and large, you're trying to indicate the direction of something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this more.
This was my demo, which is also in the shading course, like from a white piece of paper all the way here, how I think about the line weight hierarchy, which is quite tricky, actually. Like showing what's in front and what's behind. These lines are still there, but they're barely there. Because we have this whole block in the front. And then this has higher contrast because it's in front of this, and so forth. It gets like a puzzle, especially down here where you have many overlapping forms. But yeah, you can take your own reference image, and the point is to think about form and structure in a simplified way.
I might actually, if you're okay with it, I have an offering for this that's free for people who have waited this long through the presentation. I have 300 free reference photos from Graphite. They're free for right now. Proko.com/graphite free. Please feel free to take advantage of those, add those to your practice. And we do have a timer tool, but that's not really relevant in this context. Just know that you can get all of these images 100% for free.
Is this the one?
Yep, exactly.
Were you already showing it on screen?
I was not.
Great.
And I'm actually gonna yeah, there we go. Yeah, because YouTube might get mad about that one.
Oh,
yeah. We're gonna find out together.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Yeah, this just means that you were logged in, so you can see that thumbnail.
Well, let's.
Yeah.
Fingers
one
crossed.
way or another, we'll find out. It's such a small part. So now we have halfway to black method. What does this mean?
Number 8. Three missing. Halfway to black method is a way to find the shadow value if you only have the light value of a subject. It's like a fast way to establish shading on your subject if you're doing it from imagination. So these again have different local values. If you decide the local value, you can find the shadow value by going halfway to black. Works like this. Step 1, choose or identify the light value. And then number 2, find the shadow value by going halfway to black. So we have a scale on the left here. For simplicity, I picked white as my local value. So imagine this person's skin is completely white, which no human's skin is, but here we can just make that point a bit more clearly. To find the shadow value, we'll go halfway to black, which is this middle gray. That middle gray will be the shadow value. And this is not like a universal truth. It gets you in the right ballpark. If you have an environment with a lot of ambient light, it will be a little bit lighter than halfway to black. If you're in a room with less ambient light, like a dark room with no light shining in, other than the main light, but no light bouncing around in that room, it will be darker than halfway to black. But halfway to black is a good starting point. Here again, we have a white brick. So form light is just white, and the shadow value is that same halfway to black gray.
Mm-hmm.
If we darken this half, we have a new pair. The light value now is this dark gray up here. Halfway to black from here, still halfway to black, will get us to that value, and that's the shadow that corresponds.
Mm-hmm.
So the lighter the material, the more of a difference in tone, the more contrast you have between the light and the shadow. The darker the material, the more similar light value and shadow value become. The practice here is also super fun. It's called the halfway to black worm, combining light probes with this halfway to black method. You create a worm, you draw any worm shape design you want, and that worm has light skin and dark skin. So there's a light probe for the light skin, a light probe for the dark skin, and the worm is sitting on a ground floor, which can be any tone you want.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 3 light probes, and you basically shade that scene for imagination with everything you've learned so far.
I like the consistent use of the light probes. I think it stretches out to be used for so many different things. It's so useful. These like micro studies that are contextual.
Yeah, it really helps you pin down the light direction, which is something we sometimes forget. Once you start shading, you get carried away and you draw different parts of your drawing with different light directions, which will end up looking confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Another example, and this here is just applying those values, form light, form shadow, form light, form shadow. If you want to take it further with realism, you then add ambient occlusion and halftones and the penumbra. But this is the foundation. Again, working big to small, general to specific. Drawing becomes much easier like that if you work in passes, like in stages. More examples. These are so fun too.
Yeah, people give the personality.
Yeah. Okay. Number 9. Creating your own reference, or the power of doing that. And the joy. You don't have to go to these lengths, like James Gurney again, who builds these whole cities to then base his beautiful paintings on.
Okay, he's a madman. James he was committed.
But it's also helpful. You see, he's not just inventing this whole thing.
Absolutely.
He needs reference.
It is interesting to see the areas where there are some spaces where he did move away from.
Improvised, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting to see where he chose to change that to be narratively interesting or compositionally interesting versus reality.
Yeah. But that reference, in terms of lighting, gives you so much information. There's the glass below for the specular reflection, representing the water. There's that kind of dawn or dusk light, so half of it is kind of in shadow down here, which is also happening here. Here's one of my for fun sketches, and I did a for fun sculpture.
Nice.
And the process of making the reference is also a creative process where you find some happy accidents, you get new ideas which will inform your final work.
Mm-hmm.
This is Chavant clay, Chavant or monster clay, something similar.
Yeah,
A lot
this
of
is what
concept artists use this.
it's like in it. The Chavant NSP, maybe like a medium,
Yeah.
I think.
Here. There's 3 hardnesses, soft, medium, hard. I recommend soft or medium. The hard is quite hard.
Yeah, very much so. You're supposed to like take a heat gun to that at that stage.
Or here, another painting I made a while back. Kind of a strange painting, but I had this idea of 2 skeletons embracing, which I had never seen anywhere. And I made a digital maquette of that, kind of posing the skeletons and then rendering them. And this in itself was like, these are little artworks. And I sculpted this in ZBrush, which is super fun because you can give it any material you want, like a glass or crystal. So if you're painting or drawing, don't get stuck there. You can sculpt, you can do 3D modeling to help you solve problems and just come up with new ideas too. It doesn't have to be fancy materials, it can be very humble materials like wire and paper and cardboard.
I used I did a piece for a themed show at Gallery Nucleus here, and
Nice.
I pulled out an Evangelion action figure that was really posable. Took a quick reference, and I wanted it to be a more wide perspective, more fisheye, and so I switched over to the wide angle lens on my camera. And even though the camera on my phone, when I took it that close to the object, it was out of focus. That was actually to my benefit as far as a reference goes. I didn't need all of the like the shadow information, the shadow data. I needed predominantly the posing, you know?
Yeah, the shape, yeah. Here to the left image is a more telephoto lens, and this image is a wide angle lens. You get the distortion. That's another creative tool you have that you only learn about if you take photographs, if you play with the settings, or in this case, renders with digital cameras. But digital cameras are based on physical cameras and have the same settings. They're all artistic choices. So practice for this principle is to make maquettes. Also at Barcelona Academy, we built this book together about creatures that live at the Academy. Imaginary creatures that steal your charcoal and eat your paints and all of that. And we sculpted maquettes and then made illustrations from those, which is really fun.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Or this project where we worked with a art director from Magic the Gathering to create magic-like cards, illustrations. And we used Blender for some of the maquettes here. For lighting reference, mostly. Finally, principle number 10 is to make something you care about. Not just do technical exercises for the sake of technical exercises, but listen to what moves you, like what you're scared of also, or what you're angry about, or what you're sad about, and use all your technical knowledge to serve that work. And the practice here is the final assignment in the shading course, which is a personal project, and the maquette leads into that. And some people go to almost James Gurney levels, where we have a final piece that's an oil painting here, based on the maquette on the left, which is beautiful, like material choice. The styrofoam is great for ice. You see the translucency there. Really lovely.
So I have a question based on this that was from the audience. Someone had asked, does Dorian's value course touch on taking value studies from grayscale to color versions?
No, we focus on more black and white shading. But Jeremy Vickery and Marco Bucci, I think, are great for color stuff.
Absolutely.
I focus more on the realism based on tonal value, shapes, values, edges.
And
So
the
we're
good news is,
yeah.
as advertiser hat on, is if you buy, let's say, Dorian's course and then Jeremy Vickery's course, which is a very good one. If you like the presentation style of Dorian, I think the way that Jeremy presents things will probably work better for you than Marco Bucci's. Marco's also great, but you guys have a similar presentation style. If you buy those two together, you do get an increased discount, even past the 20% off that you can currently get across the whole website, because there's a bundle discount to that. So if you're thinking about it and you want to compare the two, please do. Yeah.
Jeremy is great.
Agreed.
And this is a simpler maquette,
It's
but also resulted in a beautiful project.
I like this.
3 piglets. So fun.
I like
you can use simple materials. Like the main purpose of the maquette is a lighting reference, because inventing all of those shadow shapes and cast shadows especially, or reflections too, is really, really hard. So give yourself help by making something physical and then lighting it, which will give you ideas too for composing it and lighting it, and then use that as the reference for your work.
This, I like in this one, they didn't, there's some areas where they felt that the folds, creases, and other material things were interesting enough to keep, and there were other ones where they decided to depart from it. It's good.
Yeah, you're not a slave to the reference. You're the master of your universe in that scene you're creating.
It's good.
And make something you care about, so you have enough stamina to see it through the difficult parts. So you finish it and you frame it, and you either sell it or you gift it to your grandparents or to your sibling. Make the world more beautiful. The only way to do that is if you care about it and if you stay with it. Yes, those are my 10 pearls from the shading course.
It's good. Yeah, I appreciate you going through these. If you guys like the stuff that's been said here, you might feel like you've already got all of the information, all of the wisdom. He even talked about assignments and stuff. That's a lot of information, yes. But there is more stuff with more in-depth explanations of each of these. You've seen Dorian speak so far. You know that he will go more in depth on individual topics when given the time and having a reason to really dig into things, rather than presenting a broad overview. So if the concepts here do strike you, please feel free to check out the course. Or if you can't do any of those things, just follow Dorian on socials or here on YouTube. Those are great ways to give back, even if you're just taking the free knowledge that's offered when it is. We totally understand. Not everyone has money to be able to buy a course, but it's great when you get to.
Yeah, also a great way to learn is to teach. So whatever you've learned today, teach it to someone else and you will understand it much better.
And don't try to lie. Don't try to lie and say like, oh yeah, the sky's blue because, it's blue. Like, really understand the workings behind it. Don't try to pose as though you understand it. Question the knowledge that you have, and then you can give it to people with actual things backing it up.
One thing about on the course too is, like, now we're on YouTube, there's free information, there's millions of videos on YouTube. I think something useful about a course is the structure it has. So here there are 10 modules, there's like 5 to 7 videos per module, and you can check them off. You're like, okay, I'm 1 module in, okay, now I'm 2 modules in, and there's a start point and a finish point. That helps you to go through, and there's other people doing all of these assignments too. You can give them feedback, another great teaching method, and you can ask for their feedback.
Absolutely. There was...
I think we're at time, but is there 1 or 2 questions you feel are important to address? And I wish I could see the chat. It's everyone that knows me.
Yeah, there were some people in the beginning who were saying like, hey, Dorian, they're excited to see you. There was one person to bring up. This was Ginger Peacenik. They said, Dory, I haven't seen you since our IMC days.
The what days?
IMC? I don't know what that is. Do you?
INC. IRC?
I am? There
is a person I met. This is crazy. I ordered books from Derek Sivers,
okay.
whom I love, author, Siver.rs. He does his own distribution of his books.
I see.
I ordered some books, and 6 months later, this person wrote me on Instagram saying, hey, I know this is strange, but did you order these books? And I had received my books. So I said, yes, I did. Why are you asking? That person had also received their order of books, but in their package, there was the paper of my order.
I see.
So they saw Dorian and they were like, wait, Dorian, Switzerland? Wait, I remember a guy in Switzerland called Dorian, but couldn't be. And he tracked me down. And turns out we were in IRC servers when we were 14, talking about web design and PHP programming.
Wow.
And we reconnected. We had like a 3-hour call.
Yeah, no, I when you said IRC in the beginning, you unlocked like the ancient wisdoms of the pre-internet days, like the before everything was just the same 5 websites.
Yep.
Yeah, it's been a while. Remember GeoCities?
I do.
So let's see. Going through the other questions that we've got here, I think
most of these IMC.
IMC, yes.
Illustration Masterclass.
That tracks for all of those letters.
Donato Ciancola, Scott Fisher, Boris Vallejo.
Yeah. What they said was since our IMC days, and it's Ginger Peacenik.
I don't know that username.
Yeah.
But
let's see.
I went twice, I think, to Illustration Masterclass and it was phenomenal.
Let's see if we can find out a person's actual name. You guys are going to be here for this if Dorian is reconnecting to some person he knew in the past.
Everybody will go meet people in person.
Uh-huh.
I know it's hard. I know it's expensive. I know it's scary sometimes. But go to a like drink and draw at the pub.
Yes.
Or go to art conferences. Like it will make a huge impact on your life. Because in the end,
without a doubt,
on the similar trajectory
in
this life.
The person didn't have any other information on their YouTube channel, so I can't unfortunately reconnect you with an ancient friend. But I can bring up a thing that one person did say here. This was Jordan Giroud in the chat saying, I just wanted to say a big thank you to both of you for this stream. It made me realize how absent my midtones are. I'm going to work on this. Thank you a lot.
How absent my midtones are.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being here. Follow Dorian again. There's absolutely zero reason for you not to, unless you don't have social media, in which case, congratulations on your healthy relationship with the internet. We'll be doing more live streams. There'll be one later today. Even if you're watching this in the future, there was another one that happened. It's there. Today, I'll be talking to Sterling Hundley, a person that Dorian, if he doesn't already know, should meet. They're both great
together.
People. Did you know?
The art department. I studied with him, from him, and then I was also teaching at the same school.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So please check out those live streams as we do them. And no matter what, make some things and then ask yourself, did I make this thing to the greatest degree that I could with the wisdom that Dorian gave me for free today? So thank you guys for taking the time.
Can I do one more thing?
Yeah, please feel free. What you got?
This is the flow game.
What is this?
It's fantastic. We don't have time to actually play a flow game, but I want to play flow games with all of you at some point. So right now I'll just roll the die once and we'll pick a card from the 7 directions, and then we'll get a question to take with us for the rest of our days.
Okay.
Black. This is Earth. And I'll take, I don't know, a random, well, I'll throw them. This one. Ready?
Okay.
Wait, I'll hold it here. I don't know what it's going to say.
It'd be upside down. There you go.
What? Oh,
what is your relationship
for you,
with
or can
money?
you read it?
Yeah. What is your relationship with money?
Oh, spicy. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Take that, ponder that.
Yeah. Go
In an
think
actual flow
about.
game, we would discuss that now. Every player comes with a question of their own to bring to the flow game. It's so fun.
Okay. Yeah. Go ponder that.
Proko,
Ponder that. Think about it
Proko
deeply.
game.
Yeah. Thank you, Dorian, so much. Feel free. Let's wave at the people together.
Thanks,
we will
everyone.
see you guys later.
Thanks, Steven.
Thank you so much.